market activity be cursed. The importance of an automatic market is plainly excessively indecent for the tenuous universe of exemplary Aston Martins. The all-new, all-old continuation DB4 GT, a production line manufactured copy of the first, figures out how to goose Adam Smith by turning the since quite a while ago settled financial hypothesis on its head. The entry of 25 more DB4 GTs speaks to a significant increment in the aggregate supply. Just 75 were created the first run-through around in the vicinity of 1959 and 1963. However, instead of discouraging the estimations of the current autos, not to what might as well be called $2 million that Aston Martin Works is charging for the continuation autos, it has really helped estimations of the firsts. Since Aston reported plans to manufacture this auto in late 2016, you'd have expected to discover in any event $2.5 million for a half-respectable GT and significantly more for one of the ultra-uncommon lightweights that the continuation demonstrate is designed after. A 1959 case, the main constructed, sold last August at a Pebble Beach closeout for $6.77 million. The GT isn't a rebuilding or one of those endeavors at an improved Restaurant. Each part is new, including edge, motor, and gearbox. Concessions have been made to security, proportional to those a unique DB4 would need to contend in vintage dashing. The model we drove had a cutting-edge move confined, hustling grade conceits, and 6-point bridles, in addition to a fire dowser and a battery cut-off framework. Everything else is as the first, with the autos hand-worked by Aston Martin's in-house rebuilding division, Aston Martin Works, executing similar systems utilized for the firsts, including hand-beaten aluminum bodywork. A few sections have even been made by similar providers, the greater part a century on, including the Bahraini wire wheels. Paul Spires, Aston Martin Works overseeing executive, figures around 4,500 hours of work go into collecting and painting every auto. Not that changes haven't been made. The new autos are worked to all the more demanding measures, subsequent to checking of a few unique illustrations demonstrated that they were all considerably not quite the same as each other. The works builds likewise understood that the most punctual autos had all been worked with a marginally crimped frame, conceivably on the grounds that they were created at one of David Brown's tractor plants, and this has been revised as opposed to reproduced. These new autos are worked at the Aston Martin Works office in Newport Pagnell, England, making them the principal new autos amassed there since 2007. Board holes and shut lines are collected to more tightly resistances, and the paint complete is to a far higher standard than you'd find on any auto in 1959. The continuation has additionally been required to breeze through the same extraordinary toughness tests as Aston's present Perseverance race autos, including a 2,500-mile drive finished at Italy's Nardo track the previous summer. Modest grip and four-wheel drifts. The model that we drove conveys British tags and is road legitimate in the United Kingdom, however the other 24 are expected to be confined to track utilize as it were. Purchasers will have the capacity to enter them into certain memorable hustling arrangement, and Aston Martin is putting forth its own particular 2-year track driving system that will incorporate master guideline. This, we soon find, is probably going to be important for anybody needing to benefit as much as possible from as far as possible on a track. Our drive occurred at England's Silverstone circuit toward the beginning of January on a soggy, oily surface that hadn't been utilized since before the Christmas break. It was a domain that immediately conveyed a salutatory lesson in exactly how little grasp cutting-edge 1950s race autos had, with the continuation's thin-period design Dunlop tires attempting to discover attachment. The fight was unquestionably interesting, however there's just so much fun you can have in another person's hand-assembled 7-figure sports auto. This model has just been sold to a US purchaser who was reckoning conveyance 1 month from now with no additional patent. The continuation has a 4.2-liter inline-6 motor, marginally greater than the first's 3.7-liter unit yet breathed in through a similar trio of carburetors, 2-barrel, side draft Webers. It is tractable by the modules of very tuned carb-nourished motors yet is plainly intended to convey its best at high revs. Indeed, Even on the straights of the Silverstone National Circuit, the back tires began to squirm in challenge as the motor surrounded its 6,000 revolution per minute control top. We may have encountered the full 331 strength. However, in the event that so just quickly, the GT feels significantly more restless and energizing than any cutting-edge auto with a comparative yield. The 4-speed manual gearbox requires acclimatization. It utilizes puppy rings rather than synchromesh, implying that motor and street speeds must be coordinated for smooth movements, and downshifts require twofold grasping, an aptitude we don't get the opportunity to hone frequently enough. Luckily, the firm brake pedal conveys both strong impediment, when contrasted with the squirrely conduct under power, and a strong stage for foot sole area and toe downshifts. Before the finish of our short spell on the auto, we were beginning to get the talent. In any case, cornering required a more radical alteration in procedure because of the self-destroying unintrusiveness of the GT's parallel hold. Transforming into the tight right-hander at Beckett's at what felt like an extremely wary pace, we found the front of the auto breaking into ungraceful understeer. Moderating additionally brought it once again into line, yet then even a delicate throttle application sent the back wheels sliding wide. Little ponder that such a significant number of the photos of autos dashing in this time demonstrate them in four-wheel floats. In any case, the GT's low cut-off points, and the need to ace the aptitudes required to take advantage of them, are a major piece of its allure. It's a touchy mammoth that should be driven with mind. The majority of the controls are equipped for the fundamental artfulness, yet you should acknowledge the requirement for outrageous regard. It is by all accounts snappiest at the very cusp of energy oversteer, with the power lock constrained slip differential helping the back pivots to give directional guidelines. We unquestionably didn't ace it amid our concise time at Silverstone, yet we can see the interest of spending numerous hours on tricky surfaces to take in more. Eager program. Paul Spires surrenders that the choice to deliver 25 of these continuation GTs was a striking one. Jaguar made only 7 of its carried-on lightweight E-types and approached less cash for each of them. The number was picked as the adjust of the 100 DB4 GTs that Aston should have worked to legitimize the auto's unique dashing profession. Zagato bodied another 19 DB4 GTs, and furthermore to give a practical spending plan to permit both legitimate improvement and for Aston to take some benefit from the venture. In that capacity, the organization has unmistakably made a hunger for more work in a comparable vein. Every one of the 25 of these continuation autos were represented long back. Having assembled such an excellent group, and made such a remarkable auto, it would be a disgrace in the event that they weren't permitted to accomplish something unique, Spires says. Poster recommendations in the remarks. The completed outcome is an auto that feels nearer to being a clone as opposed to a unique, and we've presumably that the estimations of the early DB4 GTs will keep on being unsullied by the presence of what is, essentially, a note culminate tribute act. In any case, what a tribute.